Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Dave Candido.
We're coming at you with Crocodile Dundee 2, 1988, the old sequel to the big, huge classic of Crocodile Dundee and Mick Dundee and all his adventures and so on, of going from Australia to New York. And now this time, he's starting off in New York. He's living there. You know, him and Sue, they got a relationship going. And I will say, I'm kind of glad to see that this is one of those movies where the relationship's totally fine. They got no problem. Because that's a sequelitis thing that really bothers me. Is like,
I didn't even think about that.
Perfect relationship in the first movie, and then the second one comes, it's like, we're having problems now. You know, or there's like that one like in a
like formula, you know.
Yeah, but it happens in like action movies. Like that happens in the Mark Zorro or a Mask of Zorro, the Antonio Banderas one. The second one, it's like, okay, they had the perfect relationship going the first one, and then when that second one comes out, they're having problems. Or the one I always say, then there's also the other option that you do is that like Transformers, they have that kind of thing going, and then it's like, well, those ones like, well, the actress didn't get along with the director, so the third movie comes out, and then you just have that one character ask, well, there's no girl there. It's like, well, what happened to Megan Fox? And then he's just like, whatever, I got rid of that fucking bitch.
There was a girl at first, but she turned out to be a Decepticon.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, whatever. I guess I don't know how he didn't know that when he was doing what he was doing with her.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't care. You know what I mean? He's in the robot.
Imagine if she would have, transformed while they were doing the nasty.
That would have been like some weird like Hellraiser fucking death scene.
Oh man, this is incredibly off topic here and nothing to do with Dundee, but have you seen or heard of this new Hellraiser game?
I've heard about it. I'm kind of excited for it. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm looking forward to it.
It looks pretty cool. I was watching a video on it, trailer and stuff, but it looks pretty. I don't know if I want to play it, man. I get kind of scared. But
I'm weird. I can literally play horror games like right before I go to bed and sleep like an angel. Like it's like one of those ones. Like I don't know what it is. It's like it's normal for me.
Yeah, like
like I was literally playing when the Silent Hill F came out. I was playing that like every night before I went to bed, and that's just
recent,
what I.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the recent one. Huh. You know, and it's weird. It's
really cool. It looked a lot different than the previous Silent Hills.
It's different in some senses, but it's very, in my opinion, I felt like it was more true to Silent Hill than they've been in a long time. Like, it felt like it fit right in that Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4.
Wasn't there one that they canceled? It was called, like, The Room or something?
Yeah, it was Silent Hills or whatever, I think is what it was. It was the Hideo Kojima one where he was going to be involved with it. And they did that little tech demo or whatever. And I thought that was as far as it went.
You know, I started playing this game from him. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a pretty recent game. There's two of them now. It's the Death Stranding. I started playing it. It seemed pretty cool. But after I turned it off, I'm like, I don't even want to play that anymore. It's kind of, I don't know. I thought the premise was kind of boring. You're like a FedEx guy in a world where everything's toxic. Like
it's probably one of those games that if you didn't work, it's probably a really cool game. You know, Kind of like, have you ever noticed that people that really like those TV shows, like those ones where it's just about guys working like on like a tuna boat or, you know, any of that stuff? Like I always notice that people that really like those TV shows, they don't work a job. So, and anybody who works really hard never wants to watch any of that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, interestingly enough, I kind of find myself in both of that spectrum. Like I will find stuff like that and I'm like, wow, this is pretty incredible. And I'm watching it and then I'm like, I would never do that. I would never work that hard. But my wife's dad, you know, because he was a fisherman for like decades, almost his whole life. Like he would fish and then on his days off, he'd watch YouTube videos about fishing. Like
he was all in.
Not like fishing pole fishing, like net, like you're throwing off the boat and you're fishing for tuna and stuff in the ocean. Like, and he'd be watching these videos all the time. And she's like, you do this. Like, why are you watching this? But anyway,
why don't you should be the one making these videos.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, it just was kind of like, at first I'm like, dude, this is cool. It's really interesting, very very interesting lore, and the graphics are amazing, and blah blah blah. But I'm like, I don't have time or patience, I don't think, for a Metal Gear Solid that's not Metal Gear Solid, and also long with long cutscenes. And I don't want to do this. And it's not as cool. The only cool thing about it is Norman Reedus. But
yeah, and even that's, I don't know, it sounds weird, but sometimes in video games, unless it's like a movie video game, I don't know what it is, like when there's like a live action character in it, it kind of throws me off a little bit. Like it has like a weird uncanny feel. Like I don't know what it is, but like
it's a little strange. I understand.
Yeah, it's, you know, if it's like something like a 007 video game, it doesn't bother me if there's like Pierce Brosnan and all that kind of stuff in there, because you're playing a Bond game or something like that. But it seems weird when like they have games and it's like, oh, there's an actor, and it's like I don't know what it is. It's like it's distracting.
That made me think of Nightfire. That's got to be one of my
That's a great game.
FPSs I've ever played.
That literally is one of my all-time favorites, like top 5 for sure.
That game has a special place in my heart because when I did not have online capability and I could not play Halo and Halo 2 when all my friends were, I was playing Nightfire by myself because you could have bots.
Yep.
And like that was so fun. And a million different characters you could have, and
cool gadgets and all that kind of stuff.
Super cool game.
Yeah, that game was always just like, you know, especially when you did get 4 players together and you did split screen and everything like that. Oh, dude, so good.
And you could set the controls up too in several different configurations. Like my buddies who were playing a lot of Halo or Halo 2, you could set the controls up to be almost identical. But yeah. But anyway. What there should be a video game of, maybe there is, and I'm just uneducated, is Crocodile Dundee.
You know, I thought about that when we did the first movie. I was like, I wonder if there's a video game of Crocodile Dundee. It doesn't seem like it'd be too out of the question. It feels like it would be on one of those like a ZX Spectrum or something like that.
It'd be like a Rapala, but like Mick Dundee is your character.
Yeah.
Like, the fishing game. or
exactly.
Big Buck Hunter or whatever the hell that game.
Yeah, something like that. And you just have Mick Dundee like comment on it, you know. Well, I love how like this movie starts off. Speaking of fishing, is Mick Dundee? He's just literally out. The way that it's shot's actually really cool because it's all these really tight shots, and he's just in
you
this
don't know
little
where
boat.
He's at.
You know, you have no idea where he's at.
I
you see him.
He was in Australia.
Yeah, he's wrapping dynamite. He's got a cigarette and everything like that. He's hanging out there. He's like, oh, he's just having a good old time fishing and whatnot. And then he chucks that dynamite over the side and it blows up. And then it cuts to a wide shot. And oh, where is he at? He's in like the New York Harbor. And there's the Statue of Liberty and the Twin Towers behind him and so on like that. You know,
is the most Crocodile Dundee opening that you could have. Like arguably more so than the first one.
Well, 100%, because then like there's an explosion and the police helicopter comes by and a police boat and everything like that, and you're like, oh, here he goes, he's gonna get arrested. And of course the police are like, Dundee, is that you, Dundee? Oh shit, man, oh, it's okay, oh, it's not a big deal, fellas, it's just Dundee fishing, you know.
Yeah, especially like the I was telling my wife as we were watching earlier, you know, like this dude just like threw a huge stick of dynamite. Like it's not even like a small firecracker, but like this massive freaking TNT in the water. And it's just like this, like kind of like small. So it looked like somebody cannonballed right next to his boat. And you know, I was telling him like that dude went back to the police station and his chief was like, "So did you arrest that guy that was throwing bombs in the bay?" "Oh no, it was just Mick." You know, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he's like, Australian. It's okay. He doesn't know any better.
Not only is Australian, but apparently he's the only Australian guy that's ever been in New York. So
yeah, that, and he's part Aborigine. So you know, he's like the whitest Aborigine around. He's like Tarzan. He's like, you know what I mean, raised in the jungle, except for he was raised by Aborigines.
Yeah, no, that's pretty great. The interesting flick, man. I think I wouldn't be surprised if you said you liked the first one better.
Yeah, I think so.
I definitely do. I think the pacing is a lot better in the first one. So I had two things going against me here. Of course, it's always a gamble when it comes to a sequel, right? You know, it's when you have an awesome movie that is an original movie, and then there's a follow up. It's like, will it live up to its predecessor? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's equal, whatever. So I got that going against me, as well as I'm watching it for free on the Pluto app, and there was seriously 1 minute ads every like 10 minutes.
Jesus.
And I was getting so frustrated, but I'm like, I'm already halfway through this movie. And then once I got to that halfway mark, I felt like I'd been watching the movie for like 2 hours. And
you probably have been.
And I'm like, I pressed pause to go to the restroom, thinking there's probably like 5 minutes of movie left. And I come back, I'm like, there's an hour to go. Yeah. I'm like, well, I was kind of okay with that in a way, because I'll come back to that. But no, I think it was a really cool opening, like we said, very Crocodile Dundee, more so, like I said, than I think the original. And that's kind of because Crocodile Dundee opened not with Mick, but with the supporting role, Sue. And, we hadn't learned quite yet who Mick really was. It was just this figure of legend and myth, that ends up just being an Australian good old boy. But which, nothing wrong with that. That's why we love the movie, right?
Exactly. I think that's why it relates to Americans real well.
Yeah. And then, so I thought the first like 20 minutes of the film were pretty freaking hilarious and like great. It started to lose me after the actual plot of the movie came in, but I'll let you express your feelings from here.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you that in a second. I just want to say, like, that's the thing about the Pluto, though, is like that they have the greatest selection on there, but they get you with those ads. If you could just pay for Pluto, I would knock it out. But which you should have got that Fandango deal where it was all 3 Crocodile Dundee movies for $10.
I should have.
I wish that was there last week when we went to do the first one, because that's what I was looking for, and that set was $35 at that point.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh. And then it finally went on sale, but so I was watching it there, no ads, so it made the movie go, pace-wise decent for that part. But I do kind of agree, because the weird thing about this movie is once the actual plot goes on, it becomes this like revenge thriller, almost in a sense, somewhat like Rambo meets Commando, not nearly as violent, not nearly as much like Carnage, of course, Mick Dundee style. But it's kind of it's weird, because it's like, it almost feels like that's not what you kind of expected in a Crocodile Dundee. I guess in my mind, what I kind of expect is like sort of like an adventure movie of a guy going to places that he's never been before, seeing people he doesn't know, and kind of like putting his own 2 cents into everything. And that's the funny part about it, is here's this guy who's literally a fish out of water in a sense, and he's going about that. And instead we have, Sue has this other ex-husband, because she's been married a bunch of times, just 80s, you know what I mean, whatever. And so he's out there doing photography down in South America or whatnot, and he runs across these drug lords, and he sees an execution, takes a bunch of pictures of it. They find him. He tries to escape, and
I don't even remember them. Apparently they killed him. I'm like, that
maybe it was edited out. Yeah, maybe it was one of the commercial breaks. Yeah, so they kill the guy, takes pictures, he gets these photos, and the only thing he could think of is to send it to Sue. I mean, she works for a newspaper, I guess. It seems like a logical choice, So he sends these photos off. He gets killed in the process, and the photos come, but instead Mick Dundee finds them, and they just happen to be kind of at different places at the same time, and so Sue gets captured as a hostage. So the first half of this movie, past the comedy parts in the beginning, you have a hostage movie where Mick Dundee's got to go save her. So you're not even really getting the chemistry between these two characters at the moment, other than the little bit in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did appreciate a lot of that humor that was in the beginning. It was kind of like, I don't know if you ever heard of Eustace Conway. He's like a real guy. So, he kind of reminds me of the Crocodile Dundee idea. He's this guy that, he had a really big like trucking empire, right? And he decided one day to go just live in the woods, and he did it. And then he came back, and he's walking. I read an article or short story or whatever about him going back to the city. I don't remember if it was New York or San Francisco, LA, whatever, but he's walking around in like furs and leathers and stuff, and like some of the, I guess you could say, urban crowd is like, what's up with this guy? What's up with these cool clothes? And he's showing them like, oh yeah, I skinned this and that, and this is what and it's kind of like a Crocodile Dundee type of guy. And when Mick's walking around, he's playing with the kids, he's talking to this guy and that guy, kind of in a similar fashion to the first movie, but he seems more comfortable, more like a little less out of his element, right? And because clearly he's been in New York. Everyone
he's been here for 2 years or whatever.
And it's pretty hilarious. He's got the cheap one-liners that, the puns and everything your dad and your uncle and whoever else is, you're going to hear all them saying, and it's great. And then, of course, like you said, it turns into this big hostage situation, and there's still some jokes here and there. It's pretty, it's all right. Some decent scenes. Probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. I'm gonna let you take a guess.
Is it the part where he's saving the guy from jumping off the building?
That was pretty good.
Yeah. That part is pretty good. I love how Mick just kind of walks around so casually there, like he does this every day.
What's funny about that too, right, is like there's no skyscrapers in the outback. Like you would think he might have a kind of fear of that, or maybe not fear, but he can't be that used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, the guy's wants to kill himself, so he tries to talk him out of it. He's using, kind of tact with what he's saying, like, oh, don't mind me, go ahead and jump. Yeah, that's great, man. And then of course he hesitates and he says like, oh, I love that bitch, man, I can't believe she betrayed me, blah blah blah. And he's like, hey, come here. And he's patting him on the back. He's like, and I loved him or whatever. And he's like, and
he falls off.
Mick falls off, and then that asshole just backs away, like doesn't even try to help him.
No, yeah.
But no, that was pretty good. No, but my favorite scene in this whole movie is where he's in the subway waiting for Sue to get off the train, and one of the henchmen of the Columbian drug lords gets off. And it's not so much that guy, even though I kind of had the idea, I'm sure you did too, that Sue's not getting off. Like it's a trick. They just want the photos. And so Sue doesn't show up. So Mick's like, I don't know about this. And the dude's got a gun pointed at him under a jacket so nobody sees. And there's all these tourists, a bunch of Asian tourists, taking pictures and all this. And then they ask Mick to hold the camera, take a picture of him. And it's got the flash, of course, old camera. It's like, oh, acting like he doesn't know how to use it, and flashes the guy with the camera, temporary, gets him off guard. He runs behind a pillar down there. The guy shoots. People run. And and then Mick, as he's hiding, these two other Asian guys, these two Japanese guys, run, like it's just so hilarious, man. Like it looked like something out of I don't know, something Japanese. And they do some freaking karate kick on him, some martial arts kick, after Mick put a trash can over his head, and then they think that Mick's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, they're like, you know who that was? Who was that? Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. And they're all proud and shit. And it's just very tall, very big penis. Yeah, smatter. I always think of that South Park episode. Yeah, but that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. I was laughing so hard, but it's so stupid. But so I mean, like there were still some like comical moments, and that was probably the funniest part between in the whole like hostage arc, if you want to call it, of the movie. There's a couple decent scenes after that. Leroy, that was pretty hilarious.
Leroy
character.
Brown.
And the guy who's trying to look like he's a gangster. Meanwhile, he just sells stationery.
Yeah.
And
he starts Staples.
That was pretty funny. One thing that I like that they do in this movie is they keep They keep Mick still larger than life. Nothing really upsets him. Nothing breaks his will, anything like that. And because, once again, this movie's not a drama, it's comedy, action, adventure, rom-com, and interestingly enough, what separates this movie from the first one is there is actually 2 deaths. But up until those 2, it's like he's still not really hurting anyone. He's still not killing anyone. And I guess that's what sets him apart from the action heroes,
Yeah. He's like Rambo in the first one, in a sense.
Yeah, pretty much. The except for he doesn't go crazy. And I don't know why I thought that's so funny, but yeah, and then of course the Columbian, drug lords, whatever, they got Sue. She doesn't want nothing to do with anything. They're trying to, they have a really nice dinner. She doesn't care, blah blah blah. Mick kind of befriends this crappy gang.
Yeah, which is the weirdest thing, because they mention it often, like, oh, this is the most baddest gang in New York. I'm like, these goobers, like is that supposed to be like a joke? Because they're not selling it like it's a joke. They make it out like it's serious, like, oh yeah, they're tough.
It's like, what'd you do, bully the guy who runs the local arcade and to give you more quarters?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he kind of like wins them over through friendliness and intimidation at the same time. And then they go make a distraction so he can get inside this. And all the while, the police are trying to tail Mick. They're trying to get him to cooperate with them somehow. So that was kind of weird too, I thought.
Yeah, it's almost like the police are trying to do it their way, but it's just not really working. I mean, that's even like kind of part of the plot as it goes on, is that the police just they can't really do anything properly, so Mick has to take over and get it done.
Yeah, they're kind of like the police, and they're like a lesser version of the police in the Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
But then, like, I thought for sure too, like when he first learns that Sue's been kidnapped and he's got these photos that they want, and he leaves their apartment or flat or whatever they live in, and this hot dog stand, they're being real weird. I'm like, what the hell's with these guys? And of course they're cops and they're gonna go tail them and stuff. And I thought everything that had to do with the police was just so lame. I'm like, this is, I don't know. And I think it's maybe that's where the fault lies, is that when you introduce a subplot that is very serious into a movie that's very relaxed and I don't know, like action adventure rom-com, like we said, it's a weird element to add in there that it clearly wasn't in the first movie. And there's a kind of there's a kind of the word I'm thinking of is not nostalgic. It's a novel. There's a kind of novelty that's with the first film and the character of Mick Dundee in general, and I think it's kind of watered down a bit with the way that this movie is, the way that it goes. And that's where, like we talked about, as I'm watching this, aside from the stupid ads that I had to suffer through, but I'm like, okay, it was a very monotone experience, aside from a few scenes here and there that kind of make you chuckle a little bit. But then finally, he gets to, he one of the guys, the henchman that tries to kill him, of course, he gets it out of him of where they're keeping her held. And once he finds out, that's when he gets those lame-o gangbangers, who are really just not gangbangers. They're like basically just a bunch of partiers. Like,
yeah, they're like a bunch of guys that like hang out at the 7-Eleven and drink Slurpees. you know, like nothing too wild. They're like, we're getting lit tonight. Well, what are you doing? Oh, like, we're mixing 2 flavors. It's Coke and cherry. We're going hard.
So yeah, he goes in there or into this guy's like mansion, Staten Island, I think is what he said, and by those strange partiers children gangbangers making a distraction, which was barking like dogs.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird.
Well, I feel like the Columbian guys are just like, there's a bunch of wild white guys outside, barking like dogs. That's weird.
Yeah. And I'm curious what you think about the role of the head honcho. I mean, like he was like the least intimidating drug lord I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Kind of hilarious.
Well, that's like the weird thing is it's like I don't know if they're trying to go for sort of this like kind of Scarface kind of vibe in this Crocodile Dundee or something like that. But once again, if it was like a minor scene, I feel like, so let's just say Sue gets captured and then Mick Dundee rescues her, and then there's like a second half of the movie that's completely different, I think it'd be kind of fine. But the fact that it just runs with this for so long, it does just feel out of place, and it's just one of those ones like. It's weird because it's written literally by Paul Hogan and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's not like you got some random writer who said, like, I got an idea for a movie.
What it made me think of was the first movie being a movie, like written like a movie, watches like a movie. This movie was almost like watching a really long television episode.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what is going on? And then finally, so yeah, they distract the henchman and the boss and whatever at his mansion. He goes in there and just knocks the main henchman out with his with the back of his knife by throwing it at him. Quite the accuracy there. And then just like topples the main bad guy with a big piece of art and busts through the door.
Yeah, he just takes a statue and just like busts his way in there like a firefighter.
Yeah, and he rescues Sue, right? And I'm just thinking, and walks out. Everybody walks in. And I'm thinking, is that it? Like,
yeah, it feels like it's the end of the movie. Like,
it kind of does. It kind of does.
It's 45 minutes into it.
And then what was hilarious too, when those guys were outside those walls in that mansion, other people just show up.
Like it's a party.
Like, have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, because like they literally like when they're driving over to like do like this raid, which is supposed to be like literally Mick's going in like Solid Snake. But just imagine if you said like, okay, I'm gonna have 100 partiers while I sneak in. I mean, that's part of the distraction, I guess.
Yes.
But the fact is that like there's people like it's literally a party train of cars going down the road, and people on the side of the road like, hey man, there's something going on over there. Let's just go tail in and find out.
Yeah. Yes. I'm like, like this does seem like a resolution, but at the same time, it seems like a very weak resolution. And then, of course, you find out, no, it's not. Something happened. I don't quite remember what, but the cops get the guy, but then he gets out or something.
Yeah. The cops do nothing.
And
it's so much so that Mick's like, he's like, I got to take him somewhere where, I could protect her, but I got to take her back to Australia,
Yeah. I was trying to see here. Texas hostages, blah, blah, blah. Rico goes into hiding. It's like, how did that even happen? Rico, the main guy. So right after, I was just rereading the synopsis here because I didn't quite. Maybe it was all those dang ads that kind of. But yeah, Rico goes into hiding to avoid arrest, and then they try to kill Sue. Interestingly enough, while the police are at their house.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because they are back in the apartment for one scene, and then there's like gunfire that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's that scene where it's like that police chief guy is. It's really weird because it first starts off okay, like. Mick's got like one of the just regular cops over. He's like, I'll make you some breakfast or whatever. And he's cooking eggs. And then Mick literally drops one egg on the floor. And it's like, it's a nice cop. So it's kind of like the weird thing is like, oh, okay. And then he just kind of brushes it off, throws it back on the plate. In the long run, it works out. But how would Mick know that this was going to work out the way that he intended? So he literally.
Because he just didn't want to eat the floor egg.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not eating the floor egg, He's got one good egg at least, So he goes to serve the boy, police officer the plate, and the second that guy sits down to eat, like the police chief guy or whatever, not chief, but like the detective guy comes in and goes like, "Oh, get out of here, Billy!" You're like, you got things to be doing. He's like, "Perfect, I'm hungry," and just starts sitting there and just starts macking it down. Doesn't even ask her anything, So granted, it works out that this dickwad gets to eat the the floor egg, but
Yeah. But
Then
then
he keeps getting like pube hair stuck in his teeth or whatever. He's like sitting there like trying to pull them out.
that's where Mick sleeps. The
He just sleeps on the floor.
what was it? But yeah, so they go back to after the assassination attempt. That's when Mick says, "Okay, we're gonna go back to Australia. That way, I can protect you on my home turf." And that I was like, "Huh." Again, I like this is right after I looked at the. I pressed pause, went to use the restroom. I saw there's a freaking hour left in this movie. So I keep pushing through. I'm like, oh, they're going back to Australia. I'm like, well, now it might pick up, which it kind of does.
Yeah, I will say when it does get back to Australia, the movie does get better.
It got a little better. I think it still was like, okay, like it just was just still like the pacing was, but it was much better in the Australia set. So it's kind of there's like three parts of this movie. The haha, I'm Australian in New York, and then rescue, and then protect.
Yeah, and then there's like the Rambo scene where he sets up traps and everything like that out in the outback.
We get to see a very young Luis Guzman.
Yep. We also see what's his name? He's in earlier. He's one of the police guys, but the guy that plays Bill Dauterive in King of the Hill.
Oh,
who's Milton in Office Space. He's one of the cops in the beginning too, which is cool. Right. So there's some handful of like little cameos and stuff in there, but yeah, Luis Guzman's one of like the henchmen, like henchman B or C.
I love too how Mick Dundee ends up like owning this huge plot of land.
Yeah.
Because so he takes Sue. They're doing the walkabout deal, protecting her. I'm just kind of curious. Like Rico goes into hiding, and then they try to assassinate Sue over these photographs. I guess. And it's like, what is there about these photos that anyone probably doesn't already know about? Like you're a freaking drug lord, man. Yeah, I forgot all about this. So when Sue's asked, like he's talking to Sue about why he's doing what he's doing, and he's like, I want to retire. Like I was like, what? Like that is probably one of the most honest answers that a drug dealer's ever given someone. Like, yeah, I make a lot of money and I look forward to retiring. As opposed to the usual what you see in movies and TV show, like power and money and all that.
Well, he does mention that at one point because he does open this. He opens up that bag of cocaine or whatever. And he's like, "Do you know what this is?" And he's just like, "It's cocaine." He's like, "No, it's power."
but that's where he says after that, he's like, "Yeah, I want to retire." And like.
And then he's like, oh, maybe I'll buy a small island. Hawaii!
Yeah, Hawaii even. But yeah, so like I'm just like, okay, he already like they got Sue back, and now it's a revenge thing against the Dundees. Follows them to Australia, and I'm kind of like, this is, I get it, it's Crocodile Dundee. It's not like I'm watching a documentary, but I'm thinking like, this is so far-fetched. This guy really going to travel himself to Australia to go find these two and kill them off? And I'm like, well, once again, we push through is what we do when we're watching these movies. But yeah, and of course this is, like you said, a real Rambo like where Dundee, after he, it doesn't start off right away with him protecting Sue. They're just kind of enjoying nature. And of course, before that, they reunite with their old pals that she met in the beginning of the first film, Wally and Dunk and I forgot the other guy's name, Nugget, I think.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth, and then of course they go take a trip, and then that's when he takes her to his land, Balonga Mick. of which when he says, oh yeah, it's Balonga Mick, oh, what's that mean? It's like, come on, lady, I know you're like, we know you're white and from New York, but
you work for a newspaper. You're supposed to be Lois Lane over there. What the hell?
Balonga Mick, like, I believe it, probably on account of it belongs to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's showing her around, takes her to his gold mine, or whatever is a
he's got a gold mine on here too, so
they're both
he's retired. Yeah.
And the I love though where he's like, oh, I've never taken anyone else here, and throws his shirt over where it says Mick loves, I think, Mary or something.
Yeah, I laugh at it's just his shack on top of the hill.
I love too when the drug lords arrive in Columbia, and one of the dudes is like, oh, this guy will be your guide. He's gonna he's your tracker. He'll take you to him. And the guy's like, he's some black dude, probably an Aboriginal. He's like, oh, is this Mick Dundee you're looking for? And they're like, yeah. And he's just like, nah. And he just leaves. And no, I don't know if the guy even got 10 feet before one of them tried to go after him. He's like, oh, he's gone.
I love that shot because it just shows it's just he looks like left, looks right, just nothing. It's like he just disappeared.
And then so I guess what they did, because there was that one Australian who's like, yeah, there's an easier way to do this. It's like, they just went and got Wally and probably threatened his life and all his friends to go take him to Mick's house.
Yeah.
And then that's when it got interesting again. That's when, you have those characters in there like we talked about, Louis Guzman or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. That guy sure melted over the years, didn't he?
Exactly. But this part's where where Mick starts like taking these guys out one by one, and
friendly Rambo.
Yeah, friendly Rambo, ties one dude up to the back of a water buffalo or whatnot and goes running down the hill.
Yeah, he's like playing pranks on him the whole time.
Yeah, he's going home alone.
It's almost like he doesn't want to hurt anybody, he doesn't want to kill anybody, so long as there's no kangaroos around. All bets are off once kangaroos show up. But
exactly.
It's like he's playing these pranks on these people. Didn't he throw crap on the guy's back, or was it like the berry?
No, he goes and he gets those berries and he makes a mixture. So
the bats like him, I think.
Yeah, because the bats like it. So he throws it on, which just literally looks like it looks like crap falls on one dude's back. He's just throwing these gross looking red dung marks onto these guys. Throws one in that dude's hat. That
the scene with the bats, it was a little more underwhelming than I thought. I thought they were gonna I don't know, disrupt everything, go and claw their faces and stuff, and they're flying around. That was it.
Yeah, they're like a bit of an annoyance, and then the main dude, the main cartel guy, fires a gun off, and they fly away. It's like, oh, problem solved.
And then, when he kidnaps the two guys, ties them up, and has the two Aboriginal guys show up. Once again, they're these guys that speak really good English. Always kind of surprised to see that.
Yeah. I think that's part of it all.
And then has them watch over the guys he kidnapped or takes hostage, as well as his wife. And he goes on to do more Rambo type of stuff. And then finally he gets a hold of the main henchman, and then Rico, the main bad guy. Mm-hmm. And that's when Wally, and when they show up to his cabin with Wally, he goes and shoots at Wally, which I think Wally knew, he's trying to help me out here. I don't know. But they thought he was trying to kill him. Sue didn't quite understand, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when all the fun begins. But yeah, and then those final two deaths, well, the only deaths, are the main henchman and the boss. And funny enough, it's not even Mick who kills him. It was Sue.
Yeah.
So it's again, who's the real action hero here? I don't know. Mick just seems like he's having a good time.
Yeah. He really is. He's almost just playing with all these guys here. And she even mentions that too. She's like, Mick, it's not a game. He's like, it's a game.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't you take this away from me.
And it's funny because it's almost like he was a different character in that, like I said, that second arc, if you want to call it. It's almost like he's a different character while he's trying to rescue Sue. And then in that third act or arc, whatever, he's back to himself pretty much. And he does tell the guy Leroy, like when they're looking in the mansion, he's like, "Oh, how do you know she's even alive?" And he's like, "Oh, it's because she's got to be. I know it because if I even have the idea that she's hurt and that then my stomach hurts and I can't, it's the only way I stay sane is if I just believe that she's fine in it." And that's all fine and everything, but still, it's like you were watching Crocodile Dundee's brother or something.
Well, that's the thing is like some of those lines in there kind of like that would be a fine line in like a serious action movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you'd be like, oh, I feel for the guy. It's like he has to go on, But they seem kind of weird in Crocodile Dundee, So it's not that it's got to be slapstick here or anything like that, But it's just the revenge thriller, kind of hostage situations. It's kind of out of place. I feel for the Crocodile Dundee. It's not bad. It's just not. It just doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it would have been more appropriate for him to say something like, "She's probably all right.
Yeah.
If not, I guess I'll just go to the pub." Like I don't know. Like obviously it's terrible, right? But at the same time, it just seems more. It would seem more normal for the movie, but.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? and I was looking, it's interestingly enough. And after Sue kills those two guys, she thinks that Mick, is the one that falls off the cliff and falls to his death.
They switch outfits.
Yeah. So Mick, when he had the Rico, the main villain, at knife point, told him to take his clothes off, whatever, which, I mean, come on. Anybody who has a brain probably had the idea he was going to have him switch his clothes. But, so he, it's kind of a trick. Sue thinks she killed Mick, but he didn't. And then of course the Aboriginal comes up and he kind of reveals that he's like, if Mick wants me to go down there and get his clothes, you can get him here. He can get him himself. And they're like, "What? He's alive?" And then he walks up, "Here I am." And then like pretty much right after that, the movie ends.
Yeah. It has like kind of like they get back together, boom, hard cut credits.
Yeah. And funny enough, the movie's 112 minutes. The previous movie, the U.S. or the international theatrical release is 98 minutes, and not a big difference, right? But man, did I feel like that movie was so much longer. I felt like I was watching Lord of the Rings versus I don't know. Highlander or something. I don't know how long Highlander is, but I mean, like I felt like I was watching a very long movie.
Yeah. No. I know exactly what you mean because it does kind of go on. I mean, probably those commercials didn't help. That's for sure.
No.
But it does. It's weird because it's like I was saying that too because I kind of forgot. Like I've seen this movie before, but I really only watched the movie maybe like twice. And so it's been such a long time that like I couldn't remember exactly how everything goes down. So when it got to that part where he rescues Sue from the hostage situation part, I was like, oh, the movie's probably just going to go into something else from this point in. That seemed like that was pretty well solved there. And it's like, oh, no. It keeps going on with the same story, just now we're going to Australia. And, I mean, I get it. It's doing that thing where if the first movie was Australia first, New York second, this movie's New York first, Australia second. But I don't know. I still just think that's like that, I know we're just like Captain Hindsighting, like looking at this movie, but like the thing is it almost just needed to go back to being like a Sue and Mick adventure. They almost could have went on vacation somewhere, and that could have been what the movie was. Like they went on vacation to Europe. It just happened to be Crocodile Dundee on a European trip. That. Yeah. You would have had miscellaneous like light action scenes throughout it. You know what I mean? Like. Maybe he's on a bus and he's got the driver has a heart attack or something, something like that. That's kind of funny yet still action, but it is kind of weird to have this once again, like, hey, it's almost like he's out there like literally protecting himself. Like it's assault on precinct 13, and there's these like Columbia drug lords coming in, which was kind of, by this point was in a lot of movies, you had that in like 007's like License to Kill. Of course you had it with Scarface, there was a lot of films that were using that kind of element, but,
I was actually thinking of, interestingly enough, The Hangover and The Hangover 2. Mm-hmm. Never even saw the third one because I didn't care. Sometimes I associate The Hangover as like one of the last like really good comedies because I felt like that movie in itself, while there was a lot of crudeness to it, I feel like there was still a lot of clever scenes and things that you're like, oh wow, that was, good one there. But this, like, I felt like shortly after that movie had come out, a lot of comedies got into that whole like, you don't know how to write a comedy? Well, here's a bunch of dick jokes, and here's a bunch of boobs, and here's a bunch of F-bombs, and there you go. There's your comedy. But that Hangover I thought was okay. I thought it was a decent comedy, and then when the second one was announced, I was like, oh, okay, that might be funny. But all it was the first movie over again in a different place. So that said, because I was really not impressed by it, and I thought it was just pretty dumb and cheap. Easy way to get people to go to the movie, right? But so the third one I never even watched because I wasn't interested. But I guess what I'm getting to is, I have the idea they wanted Mick Dundee to not be a one-trick pony. Like a lot of what the first movie was, you do that again. What more do you have other than Crocodile Dundee Part 1, but again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
you're just rinse and repeating the same thing again. So I mean, I do give it kind of credit for doing something different by that standard.
But the execution, I think was a little poor.
Yeah, well, it has like that almost like leftover like script kind of feel of like, well, Stallone didn't want this, Arnold didn't want this, Jean-Claude Van Damme didn't want this. Maybe we can turn this into a Crocodile Dundee movie.
And here's like, I don't know if this is a poor choice of comparison here or like it's already been done or something, but as opposed to the Crocodile Dundee Part 2 that exists, I imagine taking a route like National Lampoon's Vacation would have been a pretty fun take. The Griswolds, their first movie is just going across the country, right? And then they have one where they go to Europe, and they have one where it's strictly Vegas. They have one that's just Christmas. Dundee, I think, would have been okay if it was like a Crocodile Dundee in Paris.
Well, yeah, and that was literally
whatever.
When I said Crocodile Dundee in Europe, that was exactly what I was thinking of, was National Lampoon's European Vacation, because I thought that was a smart way to go about with those movies. Is you take the family and it's just a different place for vacations. And I feel like Crocodile Dundee would just be like, he's never been to Europe. Let's be,
exactly
take him there and just have an adventure that kind of unfolds. Like all they have to do is him and Sue just go on a vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the start of your plot. And then adventure unfolds in that like time that they're out there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they could have made this probably even a better movie if it was, we're going to Columbia. I don't know.
Yeah, in a sense, and actually, because that's also the other thing that's really weird is I remember when I was watching this movie and when Sue gets captured by that drug kingpin, I literally thought she was in Colombia until they show up, until Mick just shows up at the house that he happens to know right where it's at, and it's like right there in New York, and you're like, well, okay, boy, this guy is like, he's not really trying to hide from anything.
What's funny too is that the henchman even knew where he was at. Not that that's out of the ordinary, but how much does that guy really know about New York? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But whatever. And talking about what I just talked about, the Crocodile Dundee Part 2 that could have been, I guess that's exactly what they did with the third movie. They took that formula of, we're going here, which, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing of, let's take him and put him here because that'll be funny. And of course...
Well, yeah, and that third one, it's been a moment since I've seen that one, but that one I remember being like, definitely that was a step up from that number 2. That was pretty darn close, getting close to like the first one and how good it was and so on. So it made sense. They kind of figured that out. But I also like the idea of like, let's just say if you had a run with this Crocodile 2 like story, I like the idea that they just go on a trip to South America and that's how they happen to get caught up. Yeah, instead they get caught up in this drug thing, and make it kind of funny like that. Like, like maybe there's a guy and he busts into like their hotel room. He's like, dude, you got to take these photos. Like, I don't want to take these photos and stuff like that. He's like, no, you just got to do this. And so they get kind of like wrapped up in this, like one of those, almost like a Coen Brothers style movie, where it's just regular guys getting stuck in an extraordinary situation and have it kind of unfold that way. And then they could still literally go to Australia. That could still be that last act of the movie, but you just have a little bit of a different way of building it up instead of kind of having that just bizarre, like for some reason, this Columbian guy's just chilling in New York.
I honestly, I really wish, I'm not unsatisfied with the way the movies ended up going ultimately. Well, I say that now, but it has been a while since I watched the third one. But I have the idea that I'm really going to enjoy it again. But I feel like there's almost a disservice done to the franchise of Crocodile Dundee by not having an Australia standalone Crocodile Dundee film, one where they go back and are just in Australia the whole movie, where it's Sue who's the one who has to acclimate and because I mean we saw Mick in Australia twice, in the beginning of the first movie and in the end of the second, and he's not any less funny in Australia. I just remember this in the very beginning of the movie where they're walking through the mall of the second movie, and they are walking past the snake charmer, and Mickey just like without hesitation just breaks the neck of the snake.
It just keeps on walking. Yeah, that part.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I think this movie starts off really strong with all those scenes there. Yeah, like they're all good. They make you feel like the right character. They never go. And the nice thing I'll say about this movie, they never go too over the top with the comedy, because that's also another problem that sometimes movies have is like. When a movie's not like first and foremost a comedy, but then people go like, oh, people, they really like that comedy. Well, how about you double down on that on the second one? And then it's almost like too much. This movie, I will say, none of the comedy's too much. It's still very dialed in.
No, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, like they could have, again, so Crocodile Dundee, it's the guy is coming out of his element because he comes to the U.S. He's learning what it's like, what the people are like, and he's so out of his element, but it doesn't matter because he's so capable no matter what he does and where he goes that he's all right. Mm-hmm. And then he completes that love story by staying around and her dumping her boyfriend and refusing his proposal and sticking with Mick. Second movie could have just been a vacation film. Oh, Crocodile Dundee 2 in Europe or South America, wherever.
Yeah.
And then Crocodile Dundee 3 back in the outback or whatever the hell, back in the bush, and then Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. I mean, not that I think franchises need to be run on the ground, because sometimes that's the worst demise in the world. But I mean, I just feel like there was so much potential there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because the bummer too is the fact that after this movie, it's over 10 years before you get to Crocodile Dundee 3, because I think that's 2001 and this is 88. Yeah. So you do have a stretch there and so on like that. And you could have almost had, I felt like Crocodile Dundee could have ran in the 90s pretty darn well too. I mean, you didn't have to, have a ridiculous amount, but probably if there was just one more movie in between 2 and 3. And I think the other one is to have the full Australian movie. I think would have been perfect. People are already sold on, they love, everybody around the world loves Crocodile Dundee. Why don't you just have him be in Australia? Hell, that could be part of the vacation. Maybe they go to Sydney. Maybe they see all this other stuff that Dundee doesn't, he's never even seen himself. You know?
It's not like Australia is a tiny place. Like
no, it's huge. There's so much stuff there, So you could have a mixed match of outback kind of jungly adventures and so on like that. And then you could have the city elements, but they could be the city elements of Australia.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the possibility, gosh, once again, man, I mean, like the potential gone. Yeah. And it's not like it's ever going to happen again. Paul Hogan's like 90 almost, I think, in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he was born in 39.
But yeah, something, he's got a brother in Sydney. He's got an uncle in the Victorian Highlands or something. Like there's a lot that could have been done, but whatever. Yeah. I was reading too. We both were earlier that apparently Paul Hogan and that lady Linda or Lisa, whatever.
Yeah, her actual name's Linda Kozlowski.
They were married.
Yeah, they were married for like 15 or something years too. Like it was quite a long time.
Yeah, the from 82, or I'm sorry, from 1990 to 2014.
Yeah.
That's quite the length of marriage there. And I think there was some drama. I think she came out with a book and was like kind of throwing him under the bus and whatnot. You know how that crap goes in Hollywood, man. I mean, relationships usually don't last. So the fact that their marriage lasted that long in general is kind of crazy. But then I don't know, like, because I look at her film history too. She wasn't really in that much stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, because Paul Hogan, like a lot of the stuff that he's in was very like Australia oriented TV. So it's like,
yes,
you know, it almost felt like he was on like the equivalent of like the Saturday Night Live or the Monty Python, but for Australia. You know, he did a lot of those kind of like, you know, comedy skit shows.
Yeah, she was married to him. They had a son, and then they divorced, and she married a Moroccan tour guide in 2017. And they own a tour company. But yeah, she was just. All she did was 1, 2, 3, 4.
She's in Village of the Damned, the John Carpenter one. That's a good movie.
Oh, interesting. The she was only in 9 movies.
Yeah, she's not in very much.
Village of the Damned. Interesting. I don't know if I've seen that. I had seen an old movie called Children of the Damned. And it looks pretty similar.
Are you thinking of Children of the Corn?
No, I am thinking of Village of the Damned.
Okay, yeah, because it does have children in it, and they're creepy, and they got little red eyes, and they stand around.
There was a sequel called Children of the Damned.
Oh, okay, man, that is that.
But that's from the original. So the John Carpenter's a remake.
Yeah.
And then there was the original was from 1960, and then there was one in 1964. That I'd seen the one from 64, and that movie used to scare the crap out of me. The children with them eyes, man. But
yeah, the Village of the Damned remake's pretty darn good.
But no,
it's funny. Her last role though is Crocodile Dundee 3. That's the last movie she
I saw that. Yeah, that's well, we still have more to talk about when it comes to that one because not gonna lie, I'm looking pretty forward to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely there too because I want to say because that movie, that third one, just from like my recollection of it too, and I've seen it a few times, but when that movie came out, it was a big deal. Like that was a big comeback movie. Like they had a lot of press going on. I remember as a kid it kind of coming out and everything like that and it being like, oh, here we go, more Crocodile Dundee, all right, you know, and it was fun. I just remember that movie being really fun and, you know, it was a perfect example of like, because a lot of times you wait like a while on sort of a partial comedy type movie and then maybe is it like, has it been too long kind of thing? That kind of happens. I remember that movie kind of felt like it hit right in the sweet spot. If that movie would have came out like maybe in 2010, it probably would have felt like a little too late.
Yeah.
But in 2001, it wasn't that long away from number 2.
No, I guess not. But I think, like you said, comeback, and definitely was a redeeming film. I mean, it's been a while, and I'd said it before, it was the first Dundee movie I'd seen. But just after seeing the second one for the first time and rewatching the first, everything I remember about the third, it was like, you know, you take it or leave it. It's still like, at least there was it's like after you leave something on a sour note or something with your friend, and then you come back later on and you're like, hey, let's bury the hatchet. You know, like,
yeah,
here we go. You know, like without rewatching the third one, that's about how I feel right now. But
kind of exactly, you know, it's funny too because I'm looking at the box office that the second one made because like they were kind of bummed out the movie didn't make as much as the first movie, but the movie was made for $14 million and they made $240 million. I don't know what they're complaining about.
Yeah, what a bummer.
Oh God, it didn't make as much for a sequel. Oh gee, you know. But that's like such a lot of money. Once again, I'm kind of surprised they didn't say, "Hey, let's go for a third one, dude." Like, even if we made $180 million on the third one, we're still going to be making a huge profit.
Oh, I know.
You know. But yeah, and I'll say this, at the end of the day, the second one is still worth watching. It's still decent enough and so on like that. It's just not up to the same caliber, you know, as The first one is, and then the third one as well.
The third one did terrible. It. So the budget on the third was 25 million, and the box office was just under 40.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like at that time period, it's weird because maybe that movie just in my mind, I just remember it being like I remember seeing advertisements and all kinds of stuff, and they made it feel like it was. Yeah, I remember feeling really big, and I mean at the same time, if you can make about double what it cost, that's not too bad still. And that's just box office.
Yeah,
you know, because the upside is that's still now this movie's in VHS/DVD era, so there's definitely going to be more to be made on the back end.
And after a decade of between 2 and 3, I'm not that surprised that it didn't do as well, because it wasn't very far. Like the 1 and 2 were not very far from each other. So I think it was much more. I think you still had the same audience that really loved the first one that were ready and willing to go to the theater to watch Crocodile Dundee 2. By the time the third one rolls around, I think a lot of people were like, if I'm free. You know what I mean?
I think so, because I hate to sort of say it, especially after a decade, and it's
a decade and a sequel that wasn't that good.
Yeah, right. Especially and you go from 80s to early 2000s, that's a lot, you know, and you're trying to now, you're coming out at the same time that like Jet Li and Jackie Chan movies are coming out and so on, so.
Let's see, April 2000, I'm just curious here. April 2001 movie releases. So we're dealing with The Mummy Returns. Gee, I wonder what people were going to go see.
That huge movie.
Freddy Got Fingered, Joe Dirt. David Spade was huge about that time. So there was that. Shrek.
Ginormous movie. There was a lot of competition.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Texas Rangers. There we go. I don't think I don't think Crocodile Dundee stood a chance.
No.
There's also a movie that I really love that came out during that time, but I don't know how popular it was. It's a French film called Amelie.
That's a great movie. I have that one. I've seen it a few times. That was a big movie though for a foreign movie.
Interesting. I had no idea.
I mean, I say big if you know movies, I guess. Let me be honest. I don't think it's big like the average person watch that. But I like that one a lot. That was when I was in like my real big French movie phase.
Along Came a Spider too with Morgan Freeman.
Yep. Well, you know what's funny? I was looking. There's a movie that came right after Crocodile Dundee 2, and it's same director, John Cornell, and Paul Hogan writes it, stars in it. It's got literally Linda Kozlowski in it too, and it's Almost an Angel. I've never seen it before, but it almost feels like it would be in that similar vein to Crocodile Dundee, just different characters, you know.
Yeah, no, I never saw that. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of curious about that one there. Just as I was just seeing what else Paul Hogan kind of in between. I knew he had Flipper because I do remember that. You know,
I never.
Him and Elijah Wood.
I have never seen Flipper.
There was Flipper, there was Free Willy. For some reason in the 90s, we felt like we had to free these marine animals in like a movie like every so often.
I had no idea that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he was in Flipper. Why not?
I mean, there's also this other, he's got a Western one that sounds like a Western comedy. It's got Beverly D'Angelo and Cuba Gooding Jr. in it too, called Lightning Jack. Never saw that either, but that sounds kind of interesting. So I would be interested to see actually more Paul Hogan stuff, because realistically, I only kind of know him from Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, I didn't. I was trying to see if I knew if he'd done any more stuff that I knew, but not too much. Lightning Jack. I was that only made me think of Simple Jack. From
you make me happy.
Simple Jack. That movie, I kind of wished that they were gonna make those movies that were in that movie. I thought that would kind of like how the Grindhouse did the Machete.
Yeah, and so you got Machete, and you also got Hobo with a Shotgun as well.
Oh, I never saw that.
So that one, like, you didn't see the trailer in the U.S. one, but in Canada, that was one of the fake trailers, and then they ended up actually making that movie. And then just recently, like last year or maybe the year before, Eli Roth finally did Thanksgiving. He made that one into a movie. So now Rob Zombie just needs to make his Women of the SS or Werewolf Women of the SS.
We still got to finish the Devil's or House of a Thousand Corpses trilogy, whatever you want to call it.
That's a good one.
I never saw we've not seen the Three from Hell.
I watched that one when it came out, but I almost don't remember that the same way that I remember the first two.
I really like both the first and second one.
The second one's extremely good, I think.
I think just as a movie goes, the flow, everything, I think The Devil's Rejects is a better film overall. But the first one is so iconic.
Yep.
And
I just remember when that came out too.
That it's like, how can you not? That's a great movie.
Yeah. It's just bizarre. But I just remember like the spectacle. I remember when that happened. It's like, oh, Rob Zombie's making a movie and just getting really pumped and excited. Saw that in cinemas and everything like that. So
yeah. Let's see but yeah. No, I don't. Dundee 2, no regrets. But I will say, I think it'll be a long time before I watch this movie again.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds weird. Like probably the next time I watch Crocodile Dundee 1, it probably wouldn't be out of the question that I just throw on 2 next, just saying, because probably it'll be another 10 years. I hate to sort of say it, but that's kind of like how it is. There's so many movies to watch that next thing you know.
I think we finally did it, man. I think we finally watched something that you're not a giant fan of.
Yeah. I mean, I probably still like it more than, most people would. But yeah, it is one of those movies where it's not perfect. And it's weird because there's nothing bad in it. It's just different. It's odd choices I feel just are a little bit.
Temperature milk, man.
Yeah, that's about right, if that was the case. But
it's the mayonnaise on your neighbor's lawn.
Yeah, after night. Yeah, not that bad. Maybe not that bad, but it's just mayonnaise in general. Maybe
milk is a little better.
So, but yeah, as I said, I feel like if you watch Crocodile Dundee 1, it doesn't hurt to watch 2. It's not like you're gonna watch and be like, "That's not my Crocodile Dundee. They ruined my childhood." It's not one of those movies. They ruined my childhood, dude. This movie came out 2 years after the other one.
That's not my Dundee. Yeah, I think that'd be a great shirt. Crocodile Dundee 2. Like, that's not my Mick.
It's not my Mick. And here's the thing: for the most part, Mick's he's still there. And that's the thing, is everybody's kind of there. It's just they got that weird Colombian drug cartel. That whole plot is just, it feels like it was pulled from somebody else's script and just like copy pasted into here, and we'll make it work. So,
yeah.
But beyond all that good fun stuff, we'll be coming back with more Crocodile Dundee with the third one, as well as we'll finally get back to finishing off our Rambo and Rambo Part 5, because we just had to have the extended cuts. There was no way we were getting by without that. Oh, did you? Okay, so now we're just going to make the hard decision of what to watch next: Rambo 4 or Crocodile Dundee 3.
I think we might as well do Dundee 3, since we have 2 Rambo films.
Yeah, well, because I will say, and the Rambo one's kind of a nice little. That is like we did 1, 2, 3, so it's like a good place to take a pause. Then you do 4 and 5. So
it actually kind of makes sense, because those first 3 were so far apart from 4. So.
Yeah, and once again, speaking of Rambo, Crocodile Dundee 2 competed with Rambo 3, and it won at the box office.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wait, Dundee 2 competed with Rambo?
Yeah, with Rambo 3, they came out like the same time.
Oh.
And so Crocodile Dundee made that one made more money than Rambo did. Rambo 3, that is.
I thought the first one was this. Huh.
No, because they both came out in 88 and whatever the heck. I don't know when it says it came out. In North America, they came out in May. Well, it came out in May in Australia as well, too. So yeah, in May, both these movies were, give or take, maybe they might have been a week off from each other, but they did compete, and Crocodile Dundee skated by a little bit more,
Yeah.
Plus, it costs way less. There's not all those explosions. There's one explosion in Crocodile Dundee in the very beginning.
Level explosions in Rambo 3.
Yeah, helicopters, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's one helicopter in
Rambo defeat the Covenant.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but yeah, go out, enjoy some Crocodile Dundee, and we'll be back with more Crocodile Dundee and Rambo. Till then, you can check out all the other Old Man Orange podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido. Smile while you still have teeth. Life is short.
It is, and that's it. We are out of here. Take care.